Hello. It's been a minute, that's for sure. So, I started to keep a calendar this last year, starting last May. So, May of 2025. I started keeping one of these desk calendars, and even though it's very wasteful because it's paper I'm wasting, I started to write down every day on if anything significant happened, like if anything major or medical happened. Like, for example, back in May of 2025, I wrote down, first and foremost, like when periods would start. I wrote down, for example, neck ache, bad heartburn, body aches. I wrote down like bad sleep or okay sleep with body aches. I wrote down when I was getting cramps and when the anxiety would pop up, that's for sure, because that's a big one when it comes to thyroid issues. But I also was writing down if I had like a lot of coffee or if I ate something that day that might have been the culprit for any kind of pain. I wrote down like headaches, when I also wrote down when other members of the family didn't sleep that night because then that also disturbs my sleep. So, May, I'm sorry, yeah, May of last year, I would say I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, so of May of 2025, half the time I was having issues. It started to slowly get better. In June, I was able to define what was happening, and for the most part, between last year and now, I have gone months. Let me see. It started around September. Yeah, September, October, November, December, all the way up till this year. The calendar has less and less things written on it. Why? Sugar. Sugar. I didn't start drinking coffee until I was 33. No, I'm sorry. That was when I started drinking. I didn't start drinking coffee until I was 41 years old, and I'm 44 now. So I've only been drinking coffee for the past few years of my life. Why? Because I just didn't like the taste or the smell. But then I started experimenting with creamers and with sugars and with caffeine content and stuff like that. And that whole year that I was experimenting with those things is when I would have more pain, more flare-ups. And I learned, now, I can't swear that this is the deal for everybody, but I learned that the more sugar and fat and soy you put into your coffee, the more it's going to affect you if you have an underlying condition. Like if you have an inflammatory condition. Sugar is a known culprit for inflammation. Soy, although oftentimes I guess not a culprit for inflammation, can affect your hormones. It can. And some people are sensitive to dairy, and that causes inflammation, and they drink morning coffee with dairy. Some people caffeine itself causes inflammation. So I've gone from drinking full strength Folgers, like the home blend or breakfast blend or whatever, with 3 tablespoons of sugar, creamer, now down to, we have a local store called H-E-B. We have them all in Texas. H-E-B brands, half calf, only with milk and honey. I can only drink honey as a sweetener. It does not cause the severe amount of inflammation that sugar does. And because of the sugar causing inflammation and me pinpointing that, I've been only drinking water, the mix that I make for coffee, and like Propel and things that don't have sugar. Because if I do drink the sugar, not only do I bloat up bigger than what you see now, but all of my joints start to hurt, my muscles start to ache, my nerves start to flare up, so I get the burning and the tingling in my hands and my feet and my back. Speaking of which, my muscles in my back start to hurt. My stomach acts up. It acts kind of like if I'm getting heartburn or get gastritis. I get brain fog. My vision gets more blurry. All of that from sugar. All of that from sugar. I'm talking like a heaping teaspoon of sugar, putting it into your drinks. That's what's been the culprit for me over the past year, and I had to figure it out the hard way by doing an elimination diet. I've come a long way since 2019, and I've learned a lot about myself, but I can feel when there's a flare-up coming, and a lot of times it's from what I ate. So it just goes back to that annoying process of monitoring what you consume. And I'm not saying that's across the board for everybody. Some people, they genuinely do have problems. But I will say this. Sometimes it got so bad that I went to the ER. My stomach issues got so bad that I honestly thought that my stomach was going to burn a hole through itself. And there were times when my stomach pain was so bad last year, that I had to drink that drink that it like coats your stomach with like codeine or whatever, with a numbing solution. And even then, the pain wouldn't subside for more than a couple hours. I was on a diet that was strictly like a rabbit's diet. And the pills that I was taking to subside the acid were giving me elevated liver numbers. I thought for a second that I had hepatitis. Don't know how I would have acquired it. Don't know when I would have acquired it. But with my liver levels being so high, I thought that that's what was the case. And the doctor thought so too. So even dealing with grueling pain and dealing with a limited diet of pretty much like bland rice, potatoes, bland bread, saltless crackers, oatmeal, and I'm talking like rolled oats oatmeal. I'm not talking about that instant stuff. Big chicken, bare vegetables. I'm talking no seasoning on anything. Maybe some fruit cups if the acidic portion wasn't too high. Even with all that, I still had these insane bouts of gastritis or GERD. It was actually GERD. And I figured out that the coffee was the culprit. The coffee is what stripped my stomach lining from digesting nutrients, from digesting my multivitamins and my pills that I take every day. And it stripped me from recovery. It also helps that I wasn't as physically active as I should have been. So there's a lot of things, but it all went back to diet. Every single bit of it went back to diet. I've been okay for like the past, it's going on maybe like 6 months or so, because I made dramatic changes to my diet. I will have still, I just wrote this down today, even here in, let me see, what are we? Even here in March. Let me see, I'm looking over January, February. In February, I didn't write down nothing. I had anxiety one day and that was it. Okay, in March, I'm right now going through a flare because I can feel my thyroid swollen up. I don't know what's causing the flare, but when I got tested for lupus, extensive testing for lupus, I came back negative, but there was still markers of inflammation. Okay, so that means something underlying is causing inflammation. And during that process, my shoulders were sore, my elbows were sore, my hands were sore, chest muscles, the costochondritis, the intracostal muscles sore, and I think my ankles as well. When I started getting more active, started drinking more water, and started trying to balance my gut biome with Activia, I can feel that the pain started to go away. But it took time. So right now, why do I have a flare-up? That I don't know, but I am experiencing like a swollen thyroid right now. So at the beginning of the month, I had a day of an anxiety. I had an anxiety day, but I wrote down I had lots of regular coffee that day. And then skip forward to the 11th till now, my thyroid is a bit swollen and I've had anxiety mornings, meaning that upon waking, I'll experience like a cortisol burst or like an adrenaline burst. It'll go away in about an hour, but nonetheless, it's annoying waking up like that. So I'm also having like, the more coffee I drink, the more constipation I get, especially if you're not active and you don't drink water. So for me personally, I already know what the culprits are. Once again, it goes back to what you're consuming. And when you're my age now, that I'm 44, I think, 44, you have to be active. If you're not active, if you're like a regular Joe Schmo like me, and if you're not active, then you're slowing your system down even more. That's, I'm assuming, if you're on this channel and you've been watching me with my thyroid updates and my like weight loss and stuff like that. Weight loss, weight gain, weight loss, weight gain. But I have an appointment today. I already know, based off of the sonogram that they did, I already know something's going on here on the left side. This side, the nodules keep growing. One of them keeps growing. On this side, it stayed the same. I have, I think, 2 on either side. But this guy, on this side, I can even feel it. It's a little sore. This guy keeps wanting to grow, and I think I'm just going to have to eliminate coffee altogether. They can't prove that coffee is the culprit that causes nodules. But they do know that when you drink an abundant amount of caffeine, that it messes with your thyroid. Can't have anything. I don't smoke. I don't drink. My only vice is coffee. And it's not even regular coffee. It's half calf. And I drink maybe like 4 cups of it a day. So that's like the equivalent of 2 cups of coffee a day. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe the body just has flares when it's stressed out, or it could be because this flare started when I started a period. So I'm waiting to see if once the period is fully over, which it just finished yesterday, if the swelling goes down. I'm waiting to see if that's what happens, because we can't change we can, but if you're not on any medication for your hormones, you just kind of have to let them do what they're going to do. So yes, things have gotten progressively better. This is my first flare-up since last year, like September. It's my first flare-up. And it's not even that bad. It's, like I said, it's like joint pain. Anxiety is the biggest effer that I wish I didn't have. I can deal with joint pain. I can deal with muscle weakness and all that other stuff. I'll drink my Gator Light. I'll change my diet. But it's the freaking anxiety, and I always tell myself, oh yeah, I can take care of it. I'll just drink some chamomile, or oh yeah, I can take care of it. I'll just take some magnesium. But that for me, that it doesn't always work. For me, sometimes the chamomile doesn't really touch it, or the magnesium really only relaxes my muscles, but it doesn't relax the anxiety that's being released, that's like mental. And it's hard to describe that to somebody, because they're like, well, then just like stop being anxious. It's like, it's not a matter of breathing exercises. I try to explain it like this, and this is going to get vulgar for a second. You know how men will just randomly get an erection and they can't control it? It just happens. It's just sympathetic. It just happens. Okay, that's how I describe this anxiety. It just happens. You can't say, hey, don't get a boner. It's the equivalent. It's like saying, hey, don't get the anxiety. Well, gee, if that's the solution, I wish I would have thought of that a long time ago. But it's not the case, it just happens. So when mine happens, it's annoying, because it's always like right there. It's not like, it doesn't deter my day, but it's right there to where it's any little thing can trigger it. It used to be to the point to where my anxiety and inflammation was so bad that it felt like lightning all over my body. I'm grateful that that's not happening anymore. I'm not saying it'll never happen again, but I guess the point of the message that I'm giving, and the update as I'm giving, is that diet has a lot to do with your healing, even though people don't want to believe it. I'm not saying if you need pills, don't take them. No, of course, take them if they're doctor recommended, and if you did all the testing and all the blood work and everything like that, and you need the pills, then take the pills. But I'm just saying that diet has affected me a lot in my healing, and it has affected me negatively, and I found out the hard way. So just mainly that, like this month, I'm having a bit of that flare, like I said, but that's why I have my calendar, and I'm going to write things down so that I can keep track and check my progress. I mean, you can use an app, you can use whatever you want, but I like to use a calendar that I can write on so that I can compare easier. So, thanks for watching. That's it for now.